Here we are again in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Phase 2 was a time of rising stakes when trust begins to fray, a time when this world's heroes are trying to hold themselves together. The Avengers are back, but not everything fits as neatly as it used to. This wasn't just the middle period of Marvel's original grand plan. This was the era where we really learned that being a hero can really hurt. This is a world where every little win leaves a scar, and the world no longer says thank you when you save it. So here we are again in a video where we are going to try and look a little deeper at Phase 2 of Marvel's Cinematic Universe just for funsies, you know? You remember Phase 2, right? Tony Stark, well, he developed anxiety, built a bunch of robots, then accidentally invented his own apocalypse to undo.
You think I'm one of Stark's puppets, his hollow men? Look at me. Do I look like Iron Man? Stark is...
Captain America, meanwhile, finds out his bestie Bucky was brainwashed and is now an assassin. Also, that his entire job was secretly being evil pretty much the whole time. Thor, well, he is finally dealing with Jane after ghosting her for months and has to fight a band of emo elves while doing it.
Where were you?
Where were you?
The team gets back together entirely off screen. Probably the right call. To stop the killer robot that Tony built so he can retire.
But I always say, keep your friends rich and your enemies rich and wait to find out which is which.
Along the way, we meet a psychic, a speedster, and we see a city go up and not come all the way back down. Nobody deals with any of this in therapy, but at least Falcon is here now. And if you were worried things are getting a little too heavy, a talking raccoon, a sentient tree, and a group of space bandits show up and remind everyone that sometimes family is found, and maybe the galaxy just needs a good mixtape. Not to mention the shrinking guy and the fun little heist he gets to pull off.
Ants! Ants!
This should have been a phase all about consequence. Every major victory from Phase 1 casts a long shadow, and now the character should be forced to live in it. But this really only finds itself in Tony when he builds Ultron.
I'm here to help. Stop.
Haunted by the Battle of New York. Winter Soldier really sets more things up, but as the fabulous people at Overly Sarcastic Productions have pointed out, every movie afterwards drops these plot points completely. Identity does become another big theme, but it does in most superhero movies. What the MCU digs into here, though, is what it really means to be a hero, and not just in a costume. Is a soldier really free? Can a criminal, a bad guy, save the galaxy? Can a monster become a man?
When does a man become a monster?
Phase 2 asks those questions without always offering clean answers, maybe because it doesn't always know all the answers itself. But maybe what Phase 2 explores most importantly is trust. Who we should be trusting, who is losing that trust, and who might deserve it. There is mistrust in the government, in friends, or even in oneself. The foundation of these heroes is shaken across the board several times over. These aren't things everyone entirely recovers from in these movies either. I guess there was another consequence.
Hey, minican coming through!
Dead end! Not awesome! Okay. Wow, so angry.
All of this did lead to some tonal shifts for the MCU. It became way more confident and even more self-aware. This worked really well for Guardians of the Galaxy, which balanced jokes with overwhelming emotional sincerity. But it is the start of things feeling a little more like a reflex. Like, I love Iron Man 3, but I am tired of turning trauma into a punchline.
My diagnosis is that you've experienced a severe anxiety attack.
Something Thor the Dark World did a little better, but lost itself with a crazy juxtaposition that never really worked for me. That being said, the Winter Soldier is always the standout. It's funny,
Propulsion systems offline.
Reboot, damn it!
but that comes second to the intensity of Captain America being betrayed by a corrupted SHIELD. It succeeded because it took itself so seriously and didn't undercut Big Brother having 100 giant guns to the planet's head with a quip. Tonal whiplash, unfortunately, would start to become an even more recognizable feature in the MCU, becoming as frustrating to audiences as it can be charming.
As long as the foundations are still strong, we can rebuild this place. It will become a haven for all peoples and aliens of the universe. Now those foundations are gone, sorry.
Still, the phase built upon the foundation Phase 1 left behind for what Marvel would become. Character-focused, a little more stylized, and so quippy. It's like Marvel wanted to keep things light and accessible without dulling the emotional impact and just overcorrected.
Mandarin.
Mandarin.
That's a tricky one.
Well, they don't say
Vin Mandarin.
Whoa, she galuta.
Because Marvel is always walking on a couple of tightropes at once. Phase 2 now had to juggle deepening the arcs of established characters while continuing to seed new ones that Marvel really needed fans to latch onto if their universe was going to be successful in the long term. Tony and Steve specifically have stories in Phase 2 that introduce us to characters we could pass the torch on to without ever actually doing so.
You happy now?
Guardians of the Galaxy, while being so disconnected from the rest of the phase besides the Infinity MacGuffins, was key to introducing audiences to the universal scale the MCU would start heading towards. Ant-Man, in contrast, scaled things back significantly to show audiences how far producers could stretch what made an MCU movie an MCU movie. Still, though, this is when we started to have to juggle so many different characters at once that a few fall by the metaphorical wayside, especially in Age of Ultron. It feels like we are being obligated to sideline important thematic elements to make room for new characters, but as a whole, this was a period in the MCU's history that really leaned into its successful heroes as a launching off point for new heroes to hopefully find an audience.
Excuse me, citizen. Would you like to trade your Subway sandwich for a photo with the Avengers?
No.
Oh.
Because Phase 2 also starts to complicate the idea of what it really means to be a hero. Where Phase 1 mostly celebrated these heroic origin stories, Phase 2 starts to put emphasis on the cost of those stories. Or at least it wants to in movies like The Winter Soldier, where Steve Rogers starts to see the institutions he has served rotting from within. It's not like this era is rejecting heroism either, far from it. It just interrogates it a lot more. What happens when heroes start to lose the public trust? What about when their mistakes have these global consequences? Phase 2 starts to force its characters to act without a clear right answer.
But we need to go.
The best movies in this phase aren't about who punches the hardest, they are about who is willing to take responsibility, to make things right when things fall apart. The most interesting way Marvel tries redefining heroism during this period is framing it around empathy and accountability. Cap beats the Winter Soldier in the end when he sets down his shield and stops fighting. In Guardians of the Galaxy, we literally follow criminals who make the intentional decision to care at the end of the day and pick up the fight when it's needed. Heroism is becoming less about public image and more about the intent to do good, which is flawed, and that isn't a bad thing.
We're gonna neutralize a lot of threats before they even happen.
I thought the punishment comes after the crime.
Whoa, those are big.
This isn't freedom. This is fear.
You need to keep both eyes open.
Don't you mean one eye?
Dude, that's not in the movie.
And I don't think there was anything more flawed than Tony Stark's famous promise of,
Give me a second.
Peace in our time.
an idealistic ambition warped by a futurist's fear and ego. The idea of creating an AI has always sounded pragmatic, but I don't see many executions where this doesn't end up bypassing humanity entirely. It's an attempt to skip the hard work of diplomacy and building trust in favor of this all-powerful shield pointed directly inwards. But real peace would never be enforced like this. It has to be built from the ground up. Don't misunderstand me either. What makes Tony's vision unfeasible isn't just about technology. He makes the assumption that peace can be imposed from above without consequence or rebellion.
Anybody remember when I carried a nuke through a wormhole? No.
Ultron is the direct result of trying to protect the world instead of building humanity up. Age of Ultron makes its message pretty clear that peace requires accountability and trust. Control doesn't lead to peace, just destruction and disharmony. That being said, the heart of this vision, a safer world, one where people don't just live in fear of every second of every day of having their lives overturned on a whim, that is something really worth striving for. It's not something we have in a world without supervillains that can destroy reality with a snap of their fingers.
Don't go, Daddy.
I'm just going out for cigarettes, sweetie. I'll be right back.
Just try a little spinach, okay? Look, Mommy likes it.
But that peace isn't achieved with a suit of armor, or even one that could fit around the planet. It comes from transparency and cooperation.
Hey, Red, look! It's Rocket from the Guardians of the Galaxy. I ran into him behind the theater.
That's not Rocket.
I know that. It's the guy that plays him.
So, what if speculation? What hero would you put into Phase 2? As its own movie or as a part of another? For me, the answer has always been pretty super obvious, and it has always blown my mind that we haven't seen him in the MCU yet, and that is Nova. Specifically, the Nova that was big at the time in Sam Alexander. Kind of because I know more about him. Is there anybody out there who can recommend me some good Richard Rider Nova books? But Sammy, he kind of embodies a lot of the themes we talked about earlier. He is a teenager who finds his dad's helmet and gets swept into this intergalactic conflict. He hits those themes we talked about before, balancing his new identity with becoming a teenager. In the MCU, that didn't have its own Spider-Man yet.
I think it likes you, Webb. Feel free to ask it out, Buckethead.
A Nova origin story could have really hit that niche. It also makes the most sense as a character to tie this entire phase together. We can have a movie where Nova saves a low-level threat, then has to fly off at the end of his movie to meet the rest of the Nova Corps in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Who brought the houseplant?
That's Groot!
Sorry, did you say Groot?
I am Groot.
And have a scuffle with the Guardians of the Galaxy. He'd have great quips with Quill, and we would have this great new perspective that could have directly asked questions about trust and this kind of kid that chooses to be a hero when his world keeps getting darker and harder for him.
The evil Ronin has stolen the orb to take control of the universe. The Guardians of the Galaxy will stop him. You can build their ship, the Milano.
Going into this next segment, I was lucky enough to hear back from the Legion of Comics Correction, another great channel here on YouTube, and they really wanted to tackle the question of what it would mean to just be a regular person in this universe, specifically in the few years that would include Phase 2 of the MCU.
All right, Legionnaires, what we are doing today is we got a question from, that Casey James. Woo! That we are all going to be answering. Thank you, that Casey James, for reaching out. The question is, what would it be like to be a regular human being in Phase 2 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
Yeah, good question.
And so each of us are going to answer, and my answer is awful.
Plain and simple.
I mean, it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about the things that are happening in that phase, basically all of government is collapsing, and in Iron Man 3 specifically, like, we have terrorist attacks happening all over the place by a fake terrorist organization that is partially a real terrorist organization,
kind of,
but is actually a company that we actually fund as a part of the U.S. government.
It's all messed up.
And then we have Age of Ultron happening there, so we got just a robot running rampant. Everything's on fire. I mean, I don't know. Throughout all of Phase 2, everything's exploding. So if you are a human being, you're always on. You're just always anxious that something's going to blow up all the time.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for me, it's similar. It's like trust in heroes is falling apart.
Yep.
Trust in government is falling apart.
Show.
Right. So for me, as a person, just a regular human in the MCU Phase 2, I would be doing everything I could to become friends with a super person or become a super person myself. I mean, I'm already, I'm ahead of the game because you guys know I collect, every spider I can, try and get him to bite me so I can become Spider-Man before my son realizes I'm not actually Spider-Man. Trying. But that's what I would do. I would be like, all right, what serum can I get a hold of? I'm running out of time. He's starting to make the connection. Yeah, he's no longer pointing at the Spider-Man picture and saying, Dad. He's just like Spider-Man.
Yep.
So it's a shame. But maybe I'm trying to get those spiders to bite me, man.
Yeah.
So that's what I would do. In order to escape the craziness, I would either become friends with a super person or try and be a super person.
Yeah.
Like some serum, some spider bite, some radioactive, whatever. Because it is a mess.
Yeah, it's a mess.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Yeah.
No, I mean, you guys said it, right? Like, at first, evil was clear. It was aliens. It was whatever. And now, all of a sudden, we have Tony's AI English wreaking havoc.
Is this going to happen now?
Yeah. It's bad because, at least at first, in Phase 1, it's like, okay, we have these heroes. They're great. And then they start failing them. So... yeah, it's bad. I can't imagine. I do like that they try to humanize. They try to relate to the viewer a little more, right? It's like empowering. Like you still have power as a regular non-powerful person. But yeah, I'm with you. I think you said it, Logan. I'm buying the bunker that's underground.
We're already here.
Concrete.
Yeah. It's the right move.
Yeah.
Jarring my food and moving on.
Smart. Sound wizard?
Yeah, these are all great descriptors for how a human would feel. Definitely confused would be one of them. Confused on, like Brett was saying, everyone was saying, the good, you knew what the good was, you knew who bad was, but now you have people kind of being, going to different worlds, like Thor just goes back to Midgard and things like that for the Dark World, which... is not as bad as you think it is, so go back and watch it. I'm still swinging my sword on that hill.
Harry's gonna
watch other episodes if you want to dive into that. But anyway, I think Age of Ultron. We talked about the city. What was it again?
Sokovia. You didn't save anywhere.
Everything's on. Everything's on fire, but also apparently whole cities are up in the air and then falling down. So, as a human, you're just like, I have no grasp of reality. I thought I had a grasp of reality with superpowers and things like that, with people that are mechanized and people that have super serum and gods. And then people are just flying through the air and pretty much dying. So, scared, terrified, terrible times, and just probably hoping for it all to stop, or you wake up from a terrible nightmare.
And never using the internet again.
Yeah, no.
Or be asked to be experimented on by the
or that. If you can't beat them, join them. So
join them somehow. Yeah.
Volunteer.
That's right. All right. Thank you, Casey, for letting us jump in and hijack your channel for a little bit. We're excited to hear all the other stuff you have to say about MCU Phase 2. Back to you.
Again, huge thank you to the Legion of Comics Correction. Please check out their channel. They have been doing such great work for years now and deserve way more appreciation on the platform.
So-called superheroes were causing millions upon millions of dollars worth of damages. Claims that we're expected to shell out. Unless, of course, it was Thor, because we didn't cover acts of God. But nevertheless, by the time Ultron showed up, we were flat broke. We asked for government assistance, we raised premiums, but these were just band-aids on a Hulk smash. And eventually, we were forced to file for bankruptcy.
So Phase 2, this phase where the MCU started to try and ask some harder questions, but unfortunately it didn't really wait around for the answers. It's a solid collection of stories where some creators set these consequences up to ripple outward from the victories of the first phase, but someone somewhere didn't let all of those ripples land. This is the phase that really builds on Tony's anxiety and guilt to the point where the man who started this universe nearly destroys the world. We get to watch Captain America's faith in America crumble. Thor gets called out for being a shitty boyfriend. The audience really learns that being Earth's mightiest heroes doesn't mean being immune to being human. I just wish a few of the new faces we met, those crazy space plunderers and tiny thieves, got a little more to do with everyone else in this phase. Like, they are great. Some of my favorites in the entire MCU, but definitely stand out more and more for the wrong reasons. This phase still mattered though, in part because it's messy. Its themes don't always land. I think it quips even more than phase 1, and that was already way too much. It really starts to prioritize spectacle over substance, but is asking harder questions. And when it did stick the landing, we got some of the most memorable movies in the world's biggest franchise. This phase is the MCU growing up. It just has some growing pains along the way.
So, agents, why did I make you wear these costumes?
Because the new Avengers movie is coming out.
And what does that have to do with us?
We're the superheroes of insurance.
How did you...
Thank you so much for watching. If you liked how this video turned out, or if it just reminded you of how weird emo Thor got into this phase, go ahead and do whatever you need to do to keep me in your feed. That's like probably the closest I'm going to get to actually asking you to like and subscribe, and YouTube seems to hate it. Oh! Looks like Grover Cleveland's presidential time machine is ready to get moving again. Really quick, next video coming out is a companion to this, a short and sweet video where we look at each movie and short in this phase individually really quickly. That is going to be coming out in just 2 weeks' time. Until next time, though, please stay weird, be amazing, and please remember you don't need to have superpowers to be a hero to someone you know. Upcoming episodes on Disney's Package Era, September, Frankenstein, October, Heisei Godzilla, November, Doctor Who, The Second Doctor, December, Avatar The Last Airbender, January 2026.